chasing the sea monster. Our frigate wanted to go back, but the unearthly animal came at us with a speed double our own. We gasped, more stunning than uproar. We stood mute and motionless. The animal caught up with us, played with us. It made a full circle around the frigate and wrapped us in the sheets of electricity that were like luminous dust. At any instant, it could have dashed against our shield. Meanwhile, I was surprised to see that our warship was fleeing, not fighting. I compared it on this to Commander Frigate. His face, ordinarily so emotional, showed great astonishment. Professor Arnox, he answered me. I don't know what kind of fearsome creature I am up against, and I don't want my frigate running foolish risk in all this darkness. Besides, how should we attack this unknown creature? How should we defend ourselves against it? Let's wait for daylight and then we'll play a different role. The whole crew stayed on their feet all night long. No one even thought of sleeping. Unable to compete with the monster's speeds, our frigate, the Abraham Lincoln, slowed down. For its part, the animal mimicked the frigate, simply rode with the waves but did not leave the field of battle. However, near midnight it dissipated, or to use a more appropriate expression, it went out. Jules Verne was a French writer. He is also known as the father of the science. He wrote about rockets, some travelers, and submarines when such things were known in these patches. From this novel, 20,000 Leagues Under, he describes how people on a ship think of the submarine as and try to chase and hunt it. Like a huge blow bomb, had it fled from us. We did not know and were filled with fear and hope at the same time. But at 12:53, a deafening hiss could be heard, resembling the sound made by a water-spout explode with tremendous intensity. By then, Commander Frigate, Ned Land, and I were on the afterdeck, peering eagerly into the dark. Tell me, Ned Land, isn't that the night citizens make when they spurt water from their blowholes? They are very noisy, but this one's way louder, so there can be there's definitely a whale lurking in our waters. Nearly 2 o'clock in the morning, the core of light reappeared 5 miles away from the Abraham Lincoln. We stayed on the alert until daylight, getting ready for action. Whaling gear was set up along the railings. Our chief officer loaded and blunderbusses, which can launch harpoons as far as a mile, and long duck guns with exploding bullets and that can wound and kill even the most powerful animals. Ned Land was content to sharpen his harpoon, a dreadful weapon in his hand. At 6 o'clock, day began to break, and with the dawn early light, the animal electric glow disappeared. At 7 o'clock, a very dense morning mist spread around us. Our best spyglasses were unable to pierce it. To outcome disappointment and anger. At 8 o'clock, and mist rolled away, and the horizon grew wider and clearer. Suddenly, Ned Land could be heard. This is the thing in the question asymptotic told. The harpooner saw. Every eye looked toward the point indicated. Look, a 1.5 a long blackish body emerged the material above the base. It was creating a considerable current. The crew were waiting impatiently for orders from the leader. The latter, after carefully observing ordered the engineer to sail full steam towards the animal. 3 cheers greeted this order. The hour of battle had sounded. A few moments later, the Abraham Lincoln headed straight for the animal unconcerned. The latter let us come near. It got up a little, keep and skips its distance. This chase dragged on for about 3/4 of an hour without the frigate getting any closer to the sea enemy. At this rate, it was evident that we would never catch up with them. The Abraham Lincoln gathered speed, but so did the animal. This went on for the next hour. The Abraham Lincoln was now speeding so much that its mast trembled down to their blocks. What a chase! No, I can't describe the excitement that shook my very beginning. Ned Land stayed at his post, harpoon in hand. Several times the animal let us approach, then just as the hut was about to strike, the curtains would steal off swiftly. Commander Frogger then decided to use more direct methods. Or for bah, bah, he said, so the animal is faster, and then the all right, mate, man the gun in the bow. Our forecastle cannon was immediately loaded and leveled. The cannoner fired shoot, but his shell passed some above the center. We stayed half a mile off. Over to somebody with better aim, the commander shouted, and $50,000 to the man who can pierce this infernal beast. Calm of eye, cool of feature, an old gray bearded guy. I can see him to this day. Approached the can, put it in position, and took aim for a good while. This was a mighty mingle from the cheers from the crew. The shell reached its target, hit the animal, but bounced off its shoulder and vanished into the... Oh, drat, said the old gunner in Arden. That monster must be probably 6-inch armor plate. The hunt on animal was on again. Hour after hour went by without the animal showing the least sign of weariness. However, it must say that we too struggle on tides. At 10:50 in the evening, the electric light reappeared 3 miles away from the frigate, just as clear and intense on the night before. The monster was it asleep, perhaps weary from its work day, just riding with the waves? This was our sound, and Commander Freddy decided he gave his orders. The frigate approached without making a stop 2 cables lengths from the animal. A profound sound. We are not and dazzled the eyes. Just then, leaning over the front, I saw Ned Land below me. By rushing his dreadful harpoon barefoot 20 feet separated him from the motion. All at once his arm shot forward and the harpoon was launched. I heard the weapon make a ringing sound as if it had heard some hard struggle. The electric light suddenly went out, and two enormous water sound crashed into the deck of the frigate, racing like a torrent from one end to the ship to the other, propping, culling, breaking spare mast and yards from. I had a collision and thrown over the rail with no time to catch hold of it. I was hurled into the sea.